often, and the spirit of rejection is so prevalent in this world. Why? Because the enemy seeds and stirs and sets everybody up for the spirit of rejection. Why? Because the spirit of rejection opposes the spirit of acceptance. So the spirit of rejection is an antichrist spirit. And so we've got to deal with the spirit of rejection because it hinders our belief concerning acceptance. We need to understand or get revelation of unconditional acceptance because it's key to walking in faith. When you know that you're unconditionally accepted by somebody, do you have faith in that person, in their words, and in their actions toward you? Yes. But if you believe that you are rejectable, if you believe you're worthless, if you believe you're unworthy, it's going to be challenging to walk in faith. It's going to be challenging to trust God. So what happens if people feel unworthy and worthless and not good enough is they start striving to be worthy, striving to prove themselves so that then they can feel accepted, so that they can move ahead. But God says you're already accepted. See, sometimes we try, this is a work of the enemy, to get you to try so hard to receive something that you already got. We've got to guard against strife. Sometimes people are, or this is real typical, where people start striving in their faith, trying to believe, trying to have faith, trying to trust God. Whenever we strive, it's counterproductive. I'm not talking about trying, I'm not talking about putting effort, I'm talking about over-trying. That's strife. The enemy's always trying to get us to this place where we're trying a little bit too hard. When you try a little bit too hard to believe, you get yourself out of believing. And as I've ministered to people over the years, especially when I travel outside, people come up to the prayer line, I'm reading their faces, I'm watching their body language, and I see sometimes people are just, they're clenching their fists and they're looking at me, and I said, what's wrong? I said, oh, I'm just trying so hard to believe, I don't want to mess this up. And I said, listen, you're going to try yourself right out of faith. You're going to mess yourself up, just relax. And I'll work with them, try to find out why they're striving to believe so much. What's the root of it? Because there's always a root to everything. Instead of trying, we've just got to trust. Instead of trying, we've got to trust. You know, if we got a need, we've got to just say, God, I'm just going to trust you. And it's challenging to just trust, because we all want to try to, do. We want to try to manipulate, control things. We've got to work at just trusting and releasing our doubts and unbelief. We've got to just allow faith to manifest in our lives. Everybody's got doubts, okay? And but the Bible says this, God says, guard against the evil heart of unbelief. So doubts are one thing, but unbelief is another. God calls it evil. There's a spirit of scorn and unbelief, and it's an antichrist spirit. And if you have it, you've got to resist, you've got to renounce, you've got to take authority over it, because it's going to hinder your faith. So what I'm saying is you want to deal with the spirit, what's blocking your faith, what's hindering your faith, like doubt and unbelief. And then when you deal with it the spiritual way, then what happens? Faith becomes easy. Get doubt out of the way, get unbelief out of the way, fear just comes up. Fear's just there, I should say. Faith is easy when you just act in faith. I can't remember if it was John G. Lake or Smith Wigglesworth, but it was one of them that said this. I find it easier, I think it was Smith Wigglesworth. This is powerful. He said, I find it easier to act myself into believing than to believe myself into acting. See, sometimes we're trying to believe ourselves into acting. Action affects faith. Action establishes faith. Action, I'm talking about faith action, activates the supernatural. There was a woman I was ministering to a while back. She had ulcers. I ministered to her. I found the root of the problem. She was a visitor from the mainland. And I sensed a breakthrough. When I pray for people, you want to sense if you're getting a breakthrough or not, see? I sensed a breakthrough. So I prayed for her, I blessed her, I commanded healing to her body. I said, okay, I want you to go eat some spicy food right away for lunch. Why? Because action activates the supernatural. She may not have been actually healed completely when I prayed for her. But when she acted and ate the spicy food, the supernatural was activated. And she came back healed. This is a biblical principle.